What is going on, everyone? Thank you for joining the Tully broadcast. So, in today's video, we're going to go over the huge head coaching signing or the GM signing. Sorry about that, with Joe Schoen from the Buffalo Bills, and then we'll go over the head coaching candidates that I've kind of heard of, and see what they have to say, and yeah, and see how I feel about that. But like I can say, I haven't posted a lot of Giant videos in a while. And the reason why I'm posting a lot of Giant videos, I've just been mainly doing like the gambling things and stuff like that. Is I just found that fun. And I didn't have a lot of time last year during the season. Just I was following it, obviously. I was watching every single game, sadly. But it was honestly embarrassing. What am I gonna say? Like, yeah, we suck. Like, yeah, Jake Fromm's horrendous. Yeah. Like Mike Glennon's horrendous. Yeah. That's why our offense isn't working. Yeah. Like, I mean, like it's boring. It just I didn't feel like doing it. I wasn't getting a lot of like receptive views on the other videos I was doing. So I was just like, hey, you know what, screw it. But now let's give it another shot. Let's go another shot. Let's go all in on the Giants. Because you want to know why? We got a new regime. I'm pretty pumped about the regime. The new guy, Joe Schoen. And the reason why I'm pumped, I'll start like this. There's a couple guys I see on Twitter, people aren't happy about this hire. And if you are not happy with this hire, then you don't know like why. You're just not happy to be unhappy, and it's because no one has any clue on any of these GM hires. You really don't. Like what makes you like Ryan or Pools? I think his name's Ryan Pools over Joe Shane. You don't know either of them. You don't know either of them. I don't know either of them. I was okay with either of them. I like Joe Shane a little more. You wanna know why I like Joe Shane a little more? I thought Joe Shane looked a little more older, looked a little more like he had a little more stuff around under his belt. Like he's been around the league. He's been a scout for the Dolphins, and now he's apparently the right hand man to Brandon Beane, who's apparently was a big loss to Brandon Beane. He loves this guy, and they help rebuild the Bills. That's all I can look at. So that's why I like this guy. I'll go into reason number one. Reason number one. He was the right hand man to Brandon Beane, who's the GM for the Bills, and they've completely changed the Bills. Going to school, the Bills were putrid. We're going to my freshman year of college. The Bills were putrid. They were horrendous, and he helped change that. He helped make this a better team. He helped completely change the team scouting wise. Apparently, he's an amazing scout. Like I like that, and we need that. Number two, he's pretty young-ish. I bet he's in his 40s. If I had to bet, he's in his 40s, maybe late 30s. So he's kind of young. And he's a brand new face to the organization. There's no ties to anyone in the organization, which I also love. There's no like kind of like connection at all. It's a completely new way of looking at things. And number three, he's going to bring this team to be a modern football team. This team has not had a modern coach, a modern GM in forever. They've had clowns, and it's been tough. It's been tough. And I think he could help out. I think he could help out a lot. And like I said, if you're getting mad about this and you want like the other guy, you have no clue what you're talking about. You just don't. And guess what? I have no clue what I'm talking about either, because no one follows executives like that. No one follows the assistant GM or the VP of the head scout or whatever. You're not following that. You're just not. No one knows these guys' names. If you're an above average NFL fan, you know most of the GMs. I could say that. And I don't. I don't know most of the GMs at all, really. I barely know any of the GMs. I only know my GM. And it was Dave Gettleman, who was horrendous, and now it's Joe Schoen. And I'm pumped to see what he does, to be honest with you. So yeah, Joe Schoen's got a big decision to make, and his big decision is, who am I gonna have to be the head coach? That's decision number one, and that's where you start to judge this guy. You start to judge him on based on what decisions are you making, and he's got a big decision to make. I bet he honestly makes a decision in the next coming weeks. I would bet honestly this time next week we know who our head coach is, and we're going into it like, all right, let's go. That's my bet. If it's Brian Daboll and the Bills win, then obviously that can't happen. But yeah, I think that's what they're gonna do. So yeah, let's go right into the video and see who I like a head coach. Now I'm gonna give you some names, and the reason I'm gonna give you some names is I'm gonna give you three names that I've heard of. These names are gonna be going in order of how I like them. It's Dan Quinn, Brian Flores, Brian Daboll. Dan Quinn will start off with. I am not the biggest Dan Quinn guy. I'm just not. He was the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, and that's kind of where he got his claim to fame. He killed it for the Seahawks, but you could also say, hey, you guys had like Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor, and you guys like changed how we play defense. Just saying. So he had all that, and yeah, I mean they changed how we play defense nowadays. I don't know if it's because of him. I don't think so, because if you go into it, that's why he became a head coach of the Falcons, and then you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, cool. What do you do as a Falcons defensive coordinator or offense or head coach? Did he have a good defense? Because like, if you're a defensive coordinator, I would assume you have a good, defense, being that that's your specialty as the head coach. Guess what? They didn't. I think his tenure, I want to say he was the head coach there for like 6 years, maybe. And they had a top 10 defense one time, just one time. And I believe it was the time they went to the Super Bowl. So that's the one time they had a top 10 defense. So I'm not that impressed with that. Also, the last time we really have seen Dan Quinn on a big stage, guess what? You lost to the Patriots 28-3. Really, that's not great. That's not a great look. So I'm not the biggest fan of Dan Quinn. I don't want Dan Quinn at all. All shit comes from the Cowboys. I don't want another Cowboy offensive coordinator or coordinator in general, like we had in Jason Garrett. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. So he's not my biggest fan. And also, just in general, I don't really want a defensive guy. But we'll go into the only defensive guy that I'd be acceptable in having. Dan Quinn also feels the same way I feel with Leslie Frazier. He's apparently getting looks because he's the Bills defensive coordinator. I don't know much about him. I know more about Dan Quinn than I know about Leslie Frazier, but I just don't want Leslie Frazier. I think that's let's not do that. Let's look more into Brian Flores and Brian Daboll. These are the top two guys for me. So we'll start off with Brian Flores. Brian Flores, I think, is a very good candidate. I like Brian Flores a lot. The guy knows how to win. He brought the Dolphins, who were absolutely horrendous. He brought them to a respectable team. They're now respectable. They went from being the worst team in the league multiple years in a row to now being respectable. And I think that's a huge, huge, huge testament to him. And it's a huge part to what he was able to do. But now you got to sit there and go, so why did they fire him? And the reason they fired him is just he kind of seemed like he wasn't a great employee as far as relationships and friendships go. It kind of seemed like it was my way or the highway. Apparently, he had an awful relationship with the GM, and he did not have the best relationship with Tua, and it just wasn't working out. And he kind of seems like a lot of these Bill Belichick disciples do. They want to kind of push their way. It's my way or the highway, sort of tough guy thing. And I don't want to deal with that. Again, he's a defensive coordinator. I want offensive coordinator. I want an offensive mind. But I keep going back to the fact the guy wins. The guy wins. Now we'll go back to that reason. Why did Tua not like Brian Flores? Here's the main reason. Brian Flores was one of the big reasons as to why the Dolphins were looking into Tua, or they were looking into Deshaun Watson. And now you have to look at that and be like, do we want Deshaun Watson? Do we want to give up 2 picks and Daniel Jones? I mean, obviously, like I'm okay with giving up Daniel Jones. If you get Deshaun Watson, Daniel Jones is done because Deshaun Watson's a better quarterback. But I don't want to give up my 2 picks. And with the whole like case situation and all the problems he has off the field, like, do you want to get into that? Not really. I don't either. I don't have to deal with that at all. So that seems like a big problem for me. So Brian Flores, I would put Brian Flores to me on my ranking as a 1B. 1A is the next guy we're gonna go over. That guy I want more. Brian Flores, I keep thinking of my fact, like I said before, I'll finish up with this with him. He's defensive coordinator. I don't want defensive coordinator. But the guy wins. That's the main thing. The guy wins. Now let's go into Brian Daboll. This is my 1A. And honestly, this is the reason why I think Joe Schoen probably got brought in. I think personally, when they were interviewing the 3 coordinators, the 3 GMs they came down to was this guy from the Niners who I'm forgetting his name, but I don't even think he was that big. I want to say it was Peter or something Peters. He has a connection to Mike McDaniels. That in general, I just don't want to get involved in. I don't like Mike McDaniels for many reasons. Well, just too many reasons to get into. And I don't like Mike McDaniels. That's number 1. And then the number 2 guy was this guy named Ryan Pools. And he is the GM, or he was like an assistant or like an executive. Again, I don't know what he did exactly at the Chiefs, but he was he was high up in the Chiefs front office. And to me, the reason why I didn't like him is he was way too young. But he has the connection of Eric Bieniemy, and Eric Bieniemy would be awesome as a Giants head coach. I would love that. And now I'm sure we're going to Joe Schoen. Joe Schoen has a relationship with Brian Daboll, but Joe Schoen also has a relationship with Brian Flores because both of them worked at the Dolphins. Joe Schoen was a scout, and obviously Flores was just coaching there. So he worked there. So both of them are related in that pact as well. The other reason why, too, go one more reason why I like Flores is apparently he's from Brooklyn. He grew up. Some people are reporting that he might have grew up a Giants fan. I think that's sick. I mean, because in general, me being a diehard Giants fan, I would love to just be a GM or a coach or something. I think it'd be so much fun. It's a dream come true. So that'd be cool. That'd be kind of cool. And it would give us like some hope. And, it's a welcome home story. That's a possibility. So I don't know that for sure. It's rumors, yada yada. He is from Brooklyn. He grew up in Brooklyn. That is for sure. Was he a Giants fan? Who knows? Was he a Jets fan? Who knows? Was he a fan of any of them? Who knows? But I'm sure he's probably a Giants fan, especially growing up like in during his time. Because I'm assuming he's like in his 40s. So if he's in his 40s, he was during around the LT era, definitely around when they won the 2007, 2008 Super Bowl. And then the 2010, 2011, or 2011, 2012 Super Bowl. He's definitely around for that too. So I'm sure he's a Giants fan. I'm gonna just say he's a Giants fan. Got no proof, but I'm gonna say he's a Giants fan. That'd be kind of cool. But let's go back to Brian Daboll. Daboll is connected to Joe Schoen. That's why I think Joe Schoen got hired, is strictly to get this man, offensive coordinator. Um, Brought the Bills. He's coordinated. I believe, I don't know what exactly he did at Bama, but he was up. He's a coach at Bama. Um, he is a good coach. I think he's a good coach. Now, here is the only like what if part to Brian Daboll is he a good coach, or is it the fact that he was a coach for Josh Allen? Like, is that the main reason why he's good? Like, why is he good? You know what I mean? Like, what did he do personally? I want to know what he did personally. Um, and I don't know. I don't know if you look, did he get lucky with Josh Allen? Who knows? I do not know. Um, is it like almost like could a monkey do what Dayball's doing? Because you have Josh Allen, you have Stephon Diggs, you have a good offensive line, you have solid running backs, you have just amazing offense. So is he like an actual offensive mind, or is it that, or is it just because he's not good offense? Who knows? But what I do know is he's pretty young, obviously, not that old looking, and he's the offensive coordinator, and that's what I'm really looking for. My like my blue whale, or whatever they call it, whatever that saying is, the guy I really want is Harbaugh. I love Harbaugh. I think that'd be sick. But I think Harbaugh only really wants the Raider job, apparently. So obviously that's not going to happen. We're not the Raiders, we're the New York Giants. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Brian Daboll. I'm totally okay with it. I will take Brian Daboll. Just like I'll take Brian Flores. Those two I will take. The two I do not want is Leslie Frazier and Dan Quinn. I want Flores or Daboll. Those are my two guys. Strictly, we'll wrap it up. Strictly because Brian Flores wins, and Daboll is a young offensive coordinator, young offensive mind, could change this entire offense because God knows we need this offense to change. So yeah, that's kind of my video, guys. I appreciate you for listening. And like I said before, I'm gonna be making a lot more videos having to do the Giants. We're in the off season, and kind of for the Giants, this has been our best season. Like the best season is the off season for us because it's the most fun to pay attention to. It's the most fun to kind of like think about the moves we make, and that's the stuff I like. I like making moves. I like watching the moves. There's gonna be more, mock drafts, etc. Let's just say I'm excited. I'm gonna be doing better with the Giant videos. I know I haven't made a lot, but when the head coach comes out, which I think will come out next week, I'll make sure that you know. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening, and peace out.